I've been thinking about something recently that has surprised me. For 23 years, I've been telling myself this is temporary, not consciously, just somewhere in the background. After this surgery, after I finally get some sleep, after this treatment, after this flare up, then things will settle down. Then life will go back to normal. I kept thinking normal was just around the corner. And then the other day I realized it's been 23 years. 23. How did I not notice that? It's a strange question because, of course, I notice the pain. I've lived with it every day. What I didn't notice was that I had quietly stopped thinking of it as temporary and started living an entire life with it. Or maybe I never stopped thinking it was temporary. Maybe that's exactly the point. If someone had asked me whether I lived with chronic pain, I honestly don't think I would have said yes. I would have said I had pain. I would maybe have told you about surgeries, about insomnia, about nerve pain, about my hip, about my jaw, my shoulder, the fascia that sometimes seems to tighten around everything. I would have listed symptoms, but I don't think I would have described myself as a person with chronic pain. Looking back, that seems almost impossible, because that's exactly what it was. I just never thought of myself that way. I think part of the reason is that life didn't leave much room for thinking about myself. There was always something that needed my attention. Children, family life, work, my work, which is not paid, but work nonetheless. Painting, trying to become an author, failing at it. Trying to become a photographer, failing at it. Trying to become hundreds of low-paying jobs and failing at them, usually because of my health limitations. And above all, trying to keep everyday life running. There were years when other crises were so much bigger than my own body that my pain simply became one more thing I carried. And not because it wasn't important, there just wasn't much time to stop and think about what it meant. You get up, you make breakfast, you make sure everyone gets away safely to where they're supposed to be. You solve today's problem. You go to bed. You try to sleep. You wake up. You do it again. Pain becomes part of the background. Not because it disappears, but because life keeps moving. I think that's why it feels so strange to look back now. I wasn't waiting for my life to begin. I was already living it. I just happened to do it while in pain. For a long time, I also assumed it was my responsibility to figure everything out. I read, I tried exercises, I found different therapists, I learned about fascia, I experimented. I kept thinking there had to be one more piece of the puzzle, one more thing I hadn't understood yet. Sometimes something really helped. Sometimes it didn't. But I kept trying. Only recently have I started asking for more formal help, and that has been an experience I wasn't prepared for. I knew it would be hard. But how hard? It's not because people have been unkind. Mostly they've been trying to help. But entering a system changes something. Suddenly there are assessments, forms, appointments, questions, boxes to tick, measurements. You start becoming a case. And I realized that I don't like that feeling very much. It's difficult to explain. It's not exactly shame. It's more like, for the first time, I'm being asked to think of myself as someone whose body doesn't work properly, someone who needs support, someone whose limitations have been described on paper again and again and again from people who keep asking the same questions and never reading the papers. I resisted that. Not because I wanted to pretend everything was fine, but because pain has never been the most important thing about me. It has always been there, but it has never been who I am. I'm still the same person who wants to spend hours in the studio, if I can. Same person who gets excited about some old climbing rose for a few minutes, who writes poems by the window, who sometimes notices birds, who wants to be completely absorbed by a painting. None of that disappears because my body hurts. At the same time, I don't want to minimize what pain actually does. Living with pain means making hundreds of tiny decisions every day that most people never have to think about. Can I carry this? Can I sit here? Can I paint for another hour? If I wash my rugs today, what will tomorrow feel like? Some mornings, my body tells me what kind of day it's going to be before I've even gone out of bed. But those are rare. Most mornings, I have no idea. So I stumble along, trying to balance something that is so easily unbalanced. One of the reasons the walks with my dog matter so much is that they don't feel like another task. They don't feel like rehabilitation. They don't feel like exercise. They're simply part of how I live in this body. Our Havanese walks at exactly the right speed for me. He stops all the time. He investigates everything. He has absolutely no interest in efficiency. That's one of the reasons I love walking with him. Neither of us are trying to get anywhere quickly. Whenever I can, I walk barefooted. I'm lucky to live where I do. There's very little pavement, mostly grass and gravel, sometimes even forest and moss. I like feeling the ground change beneath my feet. Warm rock, sometimes cool grass and tiny stones. I can't explain exactly why it helps. I just know that my body responds differently. These walks also change something in my mind. There are thoughts that refuse to move when I'm sitting out indoors. Then I go outside. The dog stops to sniff something for the third time. I look at the sea or the trees or the light, and suddenly the thought has shifted. Not because I've forced it to, because something else has been given room to exist beside it. I think pain has a way of demanding all of your attention. The walk doesn't make the pain disappear. It just reminds me that there are other things here too. Bird song and wind and the smell after rain. The dog doing whatever important work dogs believe they're doing. The sea changing color. The garden waiting when I get home. All of it exists at the same time. Maybe that's what I finally understood after 23 years. I've spent so long thinking this body was temporary, as though one day my real body would arrive, the healthy one, the easy one. But this is my body. It has carried me through raising children and grief, paintings, surgeries, through forest, through ordinary mornings, through gardens. It has never been perfect, but it has carried me. I still hope things will improve. I don't think hope ever disappears completely, but I don't think I'm waiting for my life anymore. Because when I look back over these 23 years, I don't see 23 years that were lost. I see 23 years that happened. And tomorrow morning the dog will almost certainly want another walk. My body will probably ache somewhere, maybe somewhere new, maybe somewhere familiar. We'll walk anyway.